This is Chris Lewis, founder and CEO of Lewis PR. Thanks very much for coming in, Chris.
You're welcome.
Let me start by getting your reaction then to Carnival's current crisis management strategy, if you like, because there's been a great deal of focus on the captain himself. We're hearing that he might now be facing criminal charges. Does that allow them to contain the situation?
Well, the first thing to remember here, Miriam, is that these are people, not statistics. And so this is a human tragedy, and the company must deal with that first and foremost. That must be uppermost.
Have they been doing that?
No. I think they've reacted the best that they can, but it shows that they were unprepared for this, that this was a contingency that perhaps they hadn't rehearsed. And so we need to bear in mind that in the 21st century, that the speed of the story is in inverse relationship with the truth. So these stories break on Twitter these days. Social media is the source of these stories, and that's the source of the speculation. So they've been slow to do that, in fairness to them.
Are we seeing more and more companies, when they find themselves in these circumstances, using social media to really get their message across?
Well, I think they've tried, but they may not understand how the medium works. In that, Google is a technology that will update every hour or so its servers, but Twitter will index every 45 seconds. So the stories can come thick and fast and from any source. So at the moment, the voice of the Filipino chef on board is sometimes louder than the company's voice.
All right, so if we just go back to this issue of the captain, because this guy, very much the center of attention. He's now under house arrest, and the company has very much made him the focus of this story as well. Is that a strategy that could end up backfiring if subsequent investigations and inquiries were to show there were other contributing factors?
I think it is, because how can they know at this particular point whether what the first officer was doing? We have to assume the captain wasn't steering the ship, that the crew was responsible. Were the systems operating properly? Was the weather a factor? And we also have to bear in mind here that those things cannot possibly be known at this point. So to throw the captain to the wolves, as they suggested his culpability, is perhaps an ill-judged strategy.
We're just looking at the profile there of the CEO of Carnival, Mickey Arison. Would you, if you were advising Carnival, would you be deploying the CEO right now? He's still in Miami.
Well, the historical precedent for this, of course, is Townsend Torreson, who put their CEO on the ground the day that the Herald of Free Enterprise went over in Zeebrugge Harbour. And, of course, he added to the problem. But generally speaking, in this situation, the CEO should be there. After all, we remember Richard Branson with the Virgin train crash in Cumbria was on the spot within 4 hours.
Do you think then that Carnival's approach is perhaps more similar to that was taken by, say, Tony Hayward at BP after the oil spill, as opposed to, say, Virgin and Richard Branson? Well,
there are some great similarities, Miriam, to this, because BP is a large multinational company. Carnival is a large company as well. They haven't put their CEO on the ground. They've left it to the Costa CEO to do the work, and of course his English isn't great, his media skills, he looks like he's unprepared, and we have to say that in this day and age, comms drill is as important as lifeboat drill.
We speak about minimizing brand fallout, but as you say, we cannot lose sight of the fact that this is a humanitarian tragedy. The death toll is climbing. 11 people have now been killed, 28 are missing. What do you do? What do you say in a situation like this if you're the company that is essentially responsible?
Well, one thing you can say, this is not a great advertisement for the cruise industry. This is a promise. This is a promise of a dream. That promise was broken, and it's turned into a nightmare. And so when that happens, they have to behave as if they are at a crime scene, as if they're at a funeral, and they have to behave with dignity. And pinning the blame on the captain smacks of people squabbling at a funeral. That's not seemly behavior for a corporation of this magnitude.
Interesting to get your perspective. Thank you very much, Chris Lewis, CEO and founder of Lewis PR.
Thanks.